Hey everybody, this is Rouvio, and today we're going to talk. Today we're going to talk about mobility. Welcome everybody, this is your boy Rouvio, and this is my friend Dean. Say hi Dean.
Hi Dean.
Today's topic is
mobility.
What is mobility?
Mobility is something that counts for everybody. If you're playing an interactive part in society, you need to be mobile.
Correct.
You need to be mobile because not everything's happening in one location.
No, which means you need to get from A to B or A to C or A to Z, and you would do that through various forms: trains, planes, automobiles, scooters, motorbikes, cycles,
ships.
So we have lots of mixed mobility opportunities in the city, but the cities themselves are predominantly made for cars.
Well, it's a kind of pre-existing infrastructure, and up to yet there's been no radical change between from the inception of the car, which was a kind of late 1800s, early 1900s, to what we have now. So basically what you have at the moment are variations on the theme. There's been various forms of propulsion. We've had gas turbine, petrol and diesel, and now we're kind of in the electric phase, which, if you look at it in all honesty, is still fossil fuel. Yeah, this is one of the debates that we're having, because on the one hand, you can get Brussels, for example, which is the base of the leading European body for regulation, to actually implement these regulations, these recommendations that the car manufacturers or vehicle manufacturers need to start looking at when they start introducing new products on the market. However, nobody's really looking at the way that the electricity is actually generated. Everybody's looking at ways of actually storing the electricity. Looking at battery technology, etc., etc. But nobody's actually, how do we actually generate that electricity? And the thing about mobility as well, as I think we were kind of discussing, essentially it's where you are. Your mobility is determined by where you live.
I agree.
Yep. How much money you got.
Where you're going.
Yep. And what's actually available to you.
You want to travel to the supermarket.
Yeah.
You live in the village. The village has 800 people.
Yeah.
There's one bus a day which takes you to the main town. You can't just get up and go, oh, I want to go shopping.
Yeah, people that are providing this service, it's got to be economically viable for the business.
Yep.
And so basically, if they're looking at it, well, we provide this wonderful service. Yeah, but the thing is, who is government, who is industry? Because we're financing both. We're financing the government through taxes that we pay, and we're financing industry through the products that we buy from them.
True.
So at the end of the day, going back to the whole bus scenario as an example, it's all well and good saying, oh, well, we're going to cancel the service because they're only getting 5 users a day. But then again, how much are they actually charging for the tickets? And then the other side of the coin, well, we don't want to charge 50 euros or 50 quid a throw or $50 or whatever it is. So we need subsidy.
Yeah.
And basically, then you're going to have the political candidates, or the parliamentary candidates, who are going to say, yeah, I'm all for an integrated transport policy, which means high subsidy, which means raising your taxes. Are people going to go for that? See, and so
I know exactly what you're saying. It's a balance. It's a
balance.
Do you make the general public pay more indirectly through taxes for not necessarily a better service, but for a service which might be free for the locals who are paying the tax? I personally agree with that option, by the way. I think that's a great idea to have, and I think that would reduce a lot of the traffic congestion which we're currently in at this moment in time in a lot of cities. If all transport for the locals who lived here, and that can easily be regulated through IDs and addresses, etc., if it was financed through their taxes, and it would be free.
But that's the whole thing. Cities. The other question is,
there you go,
which is another socio-economic one. The so-called metropolitan people are going to be subsidising the urban people.
Yeah.
That's another debate. It's do you want to be as a city dweller, using a really pejorative term? Do you want to be paying for the hicks and the sticks?
Yeah. No, fully.
And vice versa. It could be the other way, where basically rural economy is better than the metropolitan economy. So why should we?
But then again, you could maybe do it from a state. So everybody who pays tax pays a transport tax, who lives in that country. And it doesn't matter because I mean, you've got cities, they border on different
counties,
areas,
yeah.
whatever. So they border. So having a local tax might not work because you'd create an issue there. Somebody who's paying local tax in area A and using transport in area B.
So you're suggesting the kind of solidarity tax that they have here in Germany?
Something like that, but for transport only.
Yeah.
So everybody pays a certain amount.
That was a key thing that you said there, transport only, because a lot of people are very cynical about where their tax actually goes. And if you actually make a point of saying this is for transport only, then you're right, you might actually get more willing,
might get people
takers, yeah.
Because I mean, I think it would reduce the amount of people who take the car. I think though, on the other hand, it's not just about taking people out of the car. The government or the people who run the transport system, they would actually have to invest in the transport system to bring people onto it, because you can't have a bus going once a day. Nobody's going to use it, or very few people will use it. You have to make it attractive at the same time.
But it also needs to be decent coverage as well, because each one of those 5 individuals, let's say that 5 individuals goes up to like 100 individuals and it starts actually paying its way, like those 100 individuals saying, well, I need to go to this place, and that's kind of like, well, if I take this once a day bus, it means I've still got to walk half a kilometre or half a mile to get there.
Exactly.
I would prefer to pay for something which takes me to the doorstep, because I'm going to be doing shopping.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that could easily be achieved, because in my model, we're paying a tax, a national tax.
But the thing is, you're never ever going to get away from that elephant in the room, which is like totally dispensing with personal mobility. Because it's like, for example, the middle of the night, you wanna drink, right? You know there's a petrol station, but the bus service isn't around. You just jump into your car, don't you? You either jump in your car, jump on your skateboard, jump on your scooter, jump on your bike. Convenience, yeah. And that is a convenience. You've got if you're offering public transport and you want to get people away from using like individual means of like getting from A to B, you've got to have that kind of coverage.
Yep.
You got to have that, and
it's got to be 24/7. It's got to be comfortable. It's got to be such a type of coverage that you don't even think about taking your car, because it's more hassle. And I think this is the key thing to mobility. You've got to give people options, and you've got to give people options around the clock, and you've got to make it comfortable. You've got to make the alternative uncomfortable. You've got to make driving uncomfortable.
Yeah, but then comes in the question, in which we don't really, or we haven't got the time to deal with, is like the whole socio-economic thing. Because I mean, there's lots of poor people that manage to be able to run an old banger.
Yep.
And if you start like making it very, very expensive for like people to get around unless they use this thing, some people can't afford that. I mean,
but if the transport is free, then they can afford it.
True.
The thing about mobility, and I think this is one of the issues that we have, is that people feel threatened that they're going to remove one part of their life. So I'm going to take away your car. No, keep the car. Cars are useful. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Cars are useful. Trains are useful. Buses are useful. Planes are useful. Skateboards are useful if you can skate, which I can't. I think the important aspect here of mobility is it's a mixed bag. It doesn't make sense to walk if you're travelling to Cologne. It doesn't necessarily make sense for you to drive. You might be better off taking the train.
Anybody who's like watching this knows getting your kids to sit in a car for like 3 or 4 hours, it's a non-starter. In some cases, you drug them.
Stay with the program. We don't advise you to drug your children out there. There's a disclaimer down the bottom. But it sometimes helps.
Sometimes a bit of brandy on the So sometimes it's better to just jump on the train.
We haven't yet mastered the way of creating the energy required for an electric motor. Yeah, we're currently using battery technology, and battery technology is not very environmentally friendly, and it's not very friendly towards other nations who we choose to exploit.
Natural resources aside,
yep,
there are like baby steps being taken.
And I think that's the key to a lot of the things with mobility, is that at least we're talking about it, we're thinking about it, we're brainstorming what we need to do. And this is the reason for my blog, people out there in Wonder Internet World. We need to allow people who have mad ideas to have mad ideas, because only through mad ideas can we trickle those down and make them viable ideas.
And the key factor in that is not only do we need to allow people to have these mad, crazy ideas, but we also need to support them, because as we were saying at the top of our conversation with regards to the whole integrated transport policy thing, the governments will only really, or the powers that be, will only like implement or go about implementing stuff if there's a need for it. And we as like the people need to
Create the need.
Create the need or press for the need, saying we want that.
Anyhows, I would like to call it a day. I'd like to say peace. Thanks all for listening and watching, and thank you very much, Dean.
You're welcome.
We'll
It's a
see
pleasure
you
doing it.
on the other side. Maybe we'll have another guest. Put your comments down below if you want to know what we should talk about. Catch you later.
Ciao.
Bye.